Santa Fe, New Mexico. You know, I kind of really like Santa Fe. You have the diners, old-fashioned diners. You don't see that in many big metropolitan cities. It's a mom and pop type of city. People work really hard in Santa Fe. And you really value community. You value your family. And you value your country. So what happened to you, Santa Fe, on the federal level 6 years ago was completely and utterly wrong, atrocious, and it should have never happened. The former president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, told the American people that New Mexico was starved of resources under the Trump administration. And this was done, he said, purposefully. And you're not going to believe the reason why they did this, Santa Fe. They starved you. They starved you of resources, farming. You know, there's a lot of ranchers in New Mexico. They starve you of resources for one simple reason. That lunatic, Donald Trump, is vindictive. And because the great state of New Mexico voted overwhelmingly for Hillary Clinton in 2016, the presidential election, you were put on a list. It was called the Blue State List. This is a fact. This is not my opinion. This is not me talking out of my ass. This is what the former president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, told the American people. You were put on a list. The entire state of New Mexico was put on a list, and anytime there was federal appropriation money that was supposed to go to New Mexico for anything, it was denied by then President Donald Trump, simply because you didn't support him. So New Mexico, you were no longer part of this 50-state union. You were ostracized, demonized, and underfunded purposefully by the former president. So when the Republicans come into your community and tell you crime is up in your community, please remind them that you, your political party, under their president, purposely starved out the people of Santa Fe, New Mexico. Purposefully starved out the people of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Purposely starved out the people of Roswell, New Mexico. This is a fact. This is not me. Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, said this. Okay? This is public record information. Anyone can go and look it up. Now, I want to say this. Santa Fe, when this was happening, you had a real leader in the governor's office. She could have moaned, complained. She could have filed lawsuits that would have been tied up in court for years and years. She did none of that. She rolled up her sleeves and she got to work. The largest tax decrease for business in New Mexican history. You can thank Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham for that. You know, I think New Mexico is the only state in this country where community college is free for the entire state residents who live there. Michelle Lujan Grisham, the governor, got that done. She was begging and pleading with the Trump administration to give resources for the COVID effort. Nothing. Hardly nothing was given to New Mexico to deal with the COVID pandemic. Nothing. And now this party wants to come and tell you about crime, high food costs, inflation. Look, they must think New Mexicans are stupid. That's the only conclusion I can come to. They must think that we have contracted amnesia and have short-term memory. We don't remember how you didn't give us the resources. How dare you come into our pueblos, our neighborhoods, and tell us this bullshit? When you know your president, your former president, didn't give anything to New Mexico, purposefully, simply because they didn't support him politically. That's not only unpresidential, it's un-American. And anybody who would go along with that, which the minority leader, and hopefully he stays the minority leader, Kevin McCarthy, he went along with that. He didn't go to the president and say, hey, what you're doing to California, New Mexico, Washington, Oregon, not providing funding is un-American. He didn't say a damn word. He's a coward. New Mexico was on its own. And you know who saved New Mexico? Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. Congresswoman Melanie Stansberry, who finally, under this administration, got what she was begging the previous administration for. $18 million was secured for mental health resources across the entire state for New Mexico. That happened because of the Biden-Harris administration. I want to make that clear. But that request, Melanie was making that request years ago, longer than 2 years ago, 3, 4 years ago. Congresswoman Melanie Stansberry was begging the federal government for additional funding for mental health resources. And the Republicans have the nerve to campaign in the state saying, mental health, there's a mental health crisis. It's causing violence and crime. You knew this 6 years ago. If we knew this 6 years ago, you knew it 6 years ago. You don't get to come and play Monday morning quarterback. Santa Fe, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to come and play Monday morning quarterback. They're trying to erase that Donald Trump purposefully neglected the great state of New Mexico. They don't want you to think about that. They don't want you to think about that they had a minority leader in Kevin McCarthy who could have gone to the president and said, hey, you need to send New Mexico resources. He did not. They don't want you to think about that. They only want you to look at now the end result of their neglectful policies. They caused the spike in crime in New Mexico by neglecting New Mexicans. And they did it purely for political and spiteful reasons. And we're never going to forget that in New Mexico. You know, there was a woman in Santa Fe. I was watching her. She said, oh, they're saying all kinds of terrible things about Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. And she said, you know what? We're not stupid in New Mexico. She said it's going in one ear and right out the other. She said we know who had our back when we were being neglected, oppressed, marginalized, and mistreated at the federal level. We know who had our back here in this state. And she said that was Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. So I'm not even concerned about Santa Fe. People are smart. They're not stupid. That's the thing. The Republicans love to try to insult our intelligence. You don't think we know that you tried to starve us out? That you didn't give us what we needed? Oh, we know. And on November 8th, we're going to show you that we remember. There has to be record turnout in Santa Fe. Record turnout. We have to teach people like these Republicans a lesson that they can't go around doing this. The reservations, they had no food. The Pueblos, they had no food for years under the Trump administration. And he knew this was happening. Jared Kushner knew this was happening. And he did nothing. They tried to starve us out. Well, their attempt failed. And in about 12 days, they're going to realize that if you fuck around with New Mexico, you're going to find out. Please make sure that if you get a mail-in ballot, vote early. Knock on your neighbor's door. Remind them that the election is upcoming. Text your friends. If you're on a college campus, check your voter registration. Make sure your ballot goes to the university address and maybe not your home address of your parents in Michigan or in Wisconsin. Make sure you get the ballot and you vote in New Mexico. Okay? Take care of business, everything. You know, I really enjoyed my time in Santa Fe. You have this tradition, Old Man Glue, the burning of the Old Man Glue. And really it's a spectacle. 3 or 4 hour event, performances, and people write down something that they want to have done away with, a negative feeling on a paper, and they stuff it in Old Man Glue. This is done in beginning of September. And then the Old Man Glue burns. And we hopefully burned all of that negative energy away. Let's make sure that we burn the Republican negative energy away from the state of New Mexico. Santa Fe. Take care of business. Make sure you participate and you vote. I know you're going to vote the right way because you and I both remember what they tried to do. You know that lunatic can't show his face in New Mexico. New Mexicans know who tried to starve them out. And on November 8th, they're going to show the Republican Party that if you try to fuck around with Americans, you try to starve us out because you simply don't like our politics, we're going to show you what we do to you.